All right, so you can see I've got all the wires coming from you can kind of see my loom back there where all the colorful wires are coming out of, and that's the loom that I ran from the left handlebar controls. So that I kind of had tied in there, and that goes under the bike and runs around to the front, comes out, and pops up there. Then I also have the wires that I tied into the clips here, right? So there's the turn signal and then the pilot light plugs that I tie together. Well, those are the power in and the ground out leftovers, I guess you could call them. So now I ran both of those. I made the wires extra long so that I have the ability to not have to do everything in here because there's not a whole lot of space. So pulled them out and wanted to put them onto the relays and see if this whole plan of mine even worked at all to begin with before I started, before I finished wiring it in, making it all pretty. So I hooked the wires up to the relays where they go. I kept track of my wires by making marks about, pin 85 and then pin 86, left side, that kind of thing. So I kept track of which wires were what, so I didn't have to trace them back every time. Then when I first turned it on and turned on the signals, they all worked, but I had the hyper flash, which I was expecting because now the turn signals, when you turn the turn signals on, there is actually no lights that are being powered when the turn signals are on. It's that they are now all acting as pilot lights that turn off when the turn signals get kicked on. So what I did was I got the load resistors that I just bought from I think it was AutoZone or O'Reilly's or Baxter's Auto Parts, whatever. I've got all three in the last couple days. And got a couple of those 25 watt, 6 ohm load resistors, and I tied them in because I saw that it doesn't really matter where on the circuit the load resistors are as long as they are in parallel with the circuit. So tied them into pin 86 and 85 because that's the switch and the ground that triggers the relay, and it's what would have the turn signal relay would identify the load, or the ECU, I don't know what identifies the load on the wires, but that'll basically trick it to think that it's got the bulbs in there all accurate. And so I did that, and now see if I go to the left side, it's got hyper flash, which that's the relay that I did not put the load resistors on yet, and the right side is fixed. So now that I know that that's the case, I can put the load resistors anywhere on the circuit tied to either 86 and 85, the pins for 86 and 85, or I could also technically use, no, I couldn't do that. It has to be 86 and 85. I thought I also could use 87 because that's what ends up getting power, right? That's the unused pin there. That's what ends up getting power once the switches are turned on, but that wouldn't send a message back that there was load on that line. So yeah, so I can use it anywhere on the circuit using the 86 and 85, which you can see, I've got, it's there, but it's also, I've got access points, at various different places. So I'm gonna figure out how to mount it the best way, or where's the best to mount it. But you can see I've got the lights that are inside of the headlight, junction thing, casing. Those I've got acting as turn signals. I've got a new amber eagle eye LED that I added in. I've got the turn signals in the mirrors that are still working there, and then the strip lights, which I'm not confident that I like the strip lights where they are, so they might be moving, but usually when you use a 5-pin relay, you wire it up and you don't switch the turn signal system to be the pilot light. So you'll have the turn signal going and then it'll rotate, it'll go between the turn signal and then the new lights that you added, or the pilot lights that you switched over. But I didn't want that. I didn't want my lights to be, you know, going opposite each other. I wanted them to be blinking at the same time. So you can see that's what they're doing. But it's gonna work. The only downside is, as of right now, I forgot that the two turn signal indicators, they are now acting as running lights. So I've got to pin those to pin 87, or I can either pin them to 86, 85 and have them be part of the switch, or I can pin them to 87, which will be getting power from pin 30 once 86 and 85 trigger it. So always on.